Hey there, what's going on? It's Mr. Jim. Guess what we're going to do today? You can see it in the description. We're going to work on two noted chords on the piano. Two noted chords. Interesting stuff. The same thing can be applied to the guitar, which we will also bring out a little bit later towards the end. But two noted chords are very interesting. And so instead of using your three noted chords like general when you're learning piano, let's say you're playing C, E, and G. That's every other key, right? We would use maybe our pointer. I play my ring, pointer, and thumb on my left hand when I'm playing a chord on the piano to make three noted chords. To make a two noted chord, you might just use these two fingers, possibly. Or you might use your thumb and your ring finger. You can think of it like quotations. So instead of our three noted chords, like usual, C, E, G, every other key, that's what you would play most of the time, not all the time. That's a general sort of idea I like to put for chords. We can pretend to do quotation marks. And the same, I do this on the acoustic guitar, electric guitar when teaching basic guitar as well for certain chords. So kind of use these two fingers as like quotations. So two noted chords can kind of toggle like this. Almost like a little bit of like you're doing bunny ears, right? Like you're doing this. So we think of it like that. Two noted chords could be like that. Or you could use them almost like you're kind of grasping on something right here, like your thumb and your middle finger or thumb and your ring finger. So either one. Could be fun to do that or this. Two noted chords are interesting. It happens in certain songs. The one that I can think of off the top of my head really quickly is Margaritaville, where they play a little. And that's two noted chords all the way around. So that's A and F sharp. 1, 2, 3. And then it's G and E once, and then back to F sharp and A again. Then it's F sharp and A 3 times again. Then back to G and E once, back to F sharp and A, and then it's G and B twice. Then a third time, F sharp and A once, G and E once, and then D and F sharp once. But those are all two noted chords. Margaritaville is a perfect song to do this with. So you can think of it like this. Just two noted chords. Instead of it's almost like you're playing a solo, but you're putting a little bit of meat behind the solo, let's say. Right? So think of it, you can think of it like that when you're playing a two noted chord. The same thing could happen if, say, you're playing a two noted chord like this, G and B. But then you also are going to go in between and play G and C right after that. So you can get yourself sort of prepared. You keep your first finger in that same position and you just move to another finger. So I'm using my pointer and my middle to play G and B. And then if I were to play G and C, I would play pointer and my ring finger and just toggle between your middle finger on B and then your ring finger on C. So do, 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 and keeping that G in place to kind of go in between that G, that two noted chord on G and B, and then the two noted chord on G and C. You just toggle between this finger and this finger, keeping the first one you're using, whether it's your thumb or your pointer finger, in that same position the whole time, just moving the second two notes with a different finger. So something fun to think about. Two noted chords on the piano, and we're going to try it on the guitar too. We're going to pull it out right here. The two noted guitar chord. Here we go. So this sort of idea can be used when you're playing sort of like a blues rock tune too. So you can think of it like this on the guitar. If you're playing, let's say a G chord like we were doing here. Two noted G chord. Two noted G chord on the guitar is top string of the 3rd fret and then the 2nd string from the top on the 5th fret at the same time. Just try to play those two strings only, because if you play all of them, it's going to sound a little funky. So let's try the top string of the 3rd fret and then the 2nd string from the top of the 5th fret. Right? Just like that, just those two. And then after that, I would make it so that these two fingers are played instead, because we're going to add a third one that, but it's going to go so that it's still a two-noted chord, but we're using it as a stretching activity too. So it's all right. So these are all two-noted chords, kind of like that blues sort of rock feel. So it's 2 times, and then we're moving our pinky to the 2nd string from the top of the 7th fret while still keeping our pointer finger to the top string of the 3rd fret. And that's what gets that kind of blues. But that's a two-noted chord sort of combination back and forth between the top string and the 2nd string from the top. And all I'm doing is I'm going do, do, do. Every time that I switch to the next chord, next note, I'm still keeping that top string, that top finger there on the top string to make still two-noted chords on repeat. And then you just can change it up. Move it to the 2nd string from the top and then the 3rd string from the top, doing that same pattern. Now to the top string and the 2nd string from the top again. Right? And that's kind of like the fun blues sort of rock jam that you can do, which is a lot of fun on the guitar. So two-noted chords on the piano, and then two-noted chords on the guitar. Really cool. Interesting thing to think about. It's all about thinking about transitioning and where you're going to position your fingers. Positioning and transitioning. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And we'll see you next time for who knows what. Thanks again for tuning in on this cool section of two-noted chords. You could use them like quotation marks if you're playing it on the piano and sort of using it as a stretching activity here, doing a blues jam. A lot of fun. Bye-bye.